Here's my latest segment of The Way of the Spiritual Path. I have a series of shows talking about spirituality, metaphysics, understanding, and, how can we navigate this life in a more spiritual context with more references rather than the egoic state. A friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, can I get some advice and support around prayer? Because I've got some questions." I said, "Wow. I could do a series. I could do classes. Why don't you ask me specific questions and then I'll answer them?" So I made a video with her questions and answers, about 45 minutes long. It was a lot of fun because we could explore quite a few ideas around prayer. But I wanted to make a concise program demonstration, examples, references around prayer. So I know there's a lot of curiosity, and here's some food for thought. So this is my segment, How Shall I Pray? The Way of the Spiritual Path. I want to talk about a few ideas here first. So to me, prayer is a state of being. When we're in what I call flow state, when our ego is tamed and reduced and not running the show, hogging the mic in our head, and it is obedient to the spiritual way. When we are in a state of meditation, it's a brainwave state. We're calmer. When we are calm, our emotions are not running high and low, high and low. So if you look at emotions and you look at science and energy, emotions are actually chemicals. So the mind sees emotions connected to stories, but when you look at the biological situation, it's a chemical. So anger, you're pushing it's just like drugs, like, hey, give me some anger, let me know I'm alive. And you're like, okay, you don't have to do that. That's a choice. It's a pattern. And then when you're happy, you're creating all of those harmonic conditions. But when you're calm, that's when our body is strongest, most peaceful. That's when our brain is firing at its optimum. That's when our heart rate is steady. That's when our digestive system can kick in and take care of it. The blood's cleaning. So the calmer we are, the healthier we are, and the more alert we are. So everyone's chasing after happiness, and my point is everybody is happy because of something. Oh, I'm happy the sun is out. I'm happy it's my birthday. I'm happy. Yes, but a lot of things that people get happy about are change. They're temporary. So why go happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad? Just stay peaceful, calm, and go happy. Okay. Oh, something sad came along. Okay. And go back to calm. In calm is a meditative state. And to me, that is a state of prayer, because the ego's not running the show and we're not getting caught up in story. Even if story is happening, we're centered and we're observing. We're not getting triggered and activated. And that is a state of prayer. Prayer is also consciously making choices for the greater good. So if I want to eat pizza and it's 10 o'clock at night, that's not my greater good. That's not my greater good for my digestive, for my sleep, for the next day. So I'm going to make a better choice for the greatest good. If I'm running late, I'm just going to text someone and say, hey, I'm running late, rather than trying to speed on the freeway. Right? So I'm trying to make conscious choices, and that's meditation. That's a state of prayer. I know it's not talked about that way, but that's why we're making the show, just to give you a new perspective. So they say, my favorite prayer is pray without ceasing. That means don't stop, just all day long, correct, 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 correct. Because if we're navigating between ego, our animal nature, and spirit, our divine nature, our spiritual essence, the divinity within us, I think our whole life story here is evolution. So we're moving from animal to spirit, and that's the game. That's the game on Earth. Are you playing, are you playing to win? Are you playing not to lose? So this is my perspective of what prayer is and how to live in a state of prayer. So let us proceed. Here's brainwave states. Most of the time we're in beta, and they should have another one saying current affairs if you watch the news. Anxiety producing, overwhelm, overstimulated. Like, I think there's something else there and they're not telling us. So let's just imagine, if you were paying attention to all the 3D, all the worldly problems, you would have a constant state of anxiety. So beta is a calmer state of anxiety that we just kind of live day to day if everything was normal. But that's it. Anyway, let's not talk about that. So beta is your normal day if everything was not over the top. Alpha is when you're chilled out. You're like, okay, I'm good. I'm grooving. We kind of hit alpha towards the evening when we're more relaxed and when the day is over, and delta is when we're in a nice state of meditation. Most people, even when they're meditating, they're in an alpha state. There's still, if there was a noise in the room, they'd still be like, oh, what's that? But when you're in a super, super deep, deep, deep state, somebody could bump into you and your body's just moving and you don't even care because you're in a place of bliss. When we're in flow state, we're also in parasympathetic nervous condition, and our body is repairing and restoring, and that's our healthiest state. Theta is a very, very, very deep meditation. You're not aware of yourself, you're not aware of time, you're not aware of space, and you're in a quantum vibration. You're in a very, very unworldly, not location, because the world is location, 3D. You're in like a 5, 6D, higher maybe, where time and space aren't a thing. They don't exist. It's not a distraction. It's not a reference. You're just in this place of nothingness. And I call it beyond the mind. The mind it's not designed, our little brain is not designed to go to higher planes and become aware what's going on and then come back into this awakened state, and participate in this 3D stuff here. And then gamma is a very, very high place, where people who are clairvoyant, they can do remote viewing, people who have visions, people who can predict the future. So they're able to go into a whole other frequency where they can grab information and then bring it back into the 3D and share it. So I'm putting my references here because a lot of people do not put references. And I'm like, well, how do you know? And where are you coming from? And so the other video I made about asking questions, that person follows Mother Mira. And I'm not familiar with her, but Mother Mira does silent prayer. So she's probably theta, maybe perhaps gamma. She just has a presence. So she goes beyond her physical and she's emanating a frequency of loving kindness, compassion, goodwill to all humanity, all the lower worlds, higher worlds. So she is in a state of love and she does her work in that manner. One of my favorite quotes from Lao Tzu is, the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. So she has a mind that is still, and then everything that is not still wants to become still, moves towards that direction, and that's how healing happens. That is prayer. That process is prayer. Quieting down the ego, letting things come to a natural state, and moving into a direction of a spiritual awareness and connection. I believe that we're a spiritual being having a human experience. So the more we move away from our human experience, the more we let go and detach from all of that stuff, the higher vibration, the more intuitive we become, the more clear we become, the more responsible we become, the calmer we become, the less triggered and reactive we become. And that's the point of prayer. We've forgotten. So when you're in a state of oneness, you don't have to pray because that is prayer. When you get off your track, you're like, oh, I'm in trouble right now. That's when we start praying to get back on track. So it's the ego who prays to the silence within, to God, to whatever it is that you hold sacred. So I am a metaphysician, and my reference is not a man in the sky with a white beard. My reference is an energetic field with intelligence going through an evolutionary process where all things are possible because it's a quantum field, and there's states of intelligence, power, and love. If you look at all the religions, the major religions, they can agree that whatever they call God is those three things. Even Buddhism says the higher frequencies are power, love, and intelligence. And you can say, well, what do you mean love? If God isn't a person, how does an energy field love? Because there is order, organization, and support. So when you walk around in the woods and you understand the dynamics and the elements and how things work together, sometimes when you go out, you're like, hey, this is a big mess out here. But if you're like, no, this tree is rotting and it's creating the soil and and the birds are doing this and the squirrels are doing that, you're like, oh, there's a lot of harmony here. So harmony, order, things feeding each other and itself, the animals, the plants, the air, all of these systems working together to support itself and each other is love. You can count that as love. So that's why I mean love, harmony, and power. We all innately have those qualities. When we focus on those qualities in our state of prayer, we become those qualities, and we're bringing those qualities to our egoic state. So prayer is about ego and spirit self and bringing the ego in alignment with spirit. Sometimes when the ego gets off course, it feels afraid that spirit will judge it and it wants to be good. So it will be like, oh, I'm being bad, let me be good. Or, oh, I'm off track and things are getting dangerous, let me be good. Like, oh, I don't want to be a bad person, let me be good. To me, spirit self, the energetic field does not judge. There is consequences instead. So if I am irresponsible and I get caught, or the thing, there's a situation, and that situation happened because of my irresponsibility, I'll want to blame God or whatever, but then God's like, I don't care. I'm just existing. You're the one with choice. I don't even choose anything because I don't have anything to choose because I'm creating. I'm just creating and creating and creating. So when we say, oh, gee, why did this bad thing happen to me? Am I a bad person? We say, no, you're not a bad person. Just take more responsibility in those areas. So if somebody, just was eating McDonald's and all the garbage food and sitting around and laying around, and then they got sick, they'll be like, oh, how come I'm sick? And we say, well, your habits got you sick. And they say, oh, then they have to change the habits. So that's just an obvious example of all the minute ways that we work against ourselves. So prayer is getting us back into alignment, getting into a state of harmony. This article was fantastic. I've not come across this. I've heard some things along the way, but if you want to check him out, Joe Carter, there's the reference there. So these are different prayer types, prayer styles. How shall I pray is the question. Well, here's 9 of them. One of them you better not do. Prayer of faith. So this is ego talking to spirit. This is not your best self being a good person talking to God, because you are God and you don't need to talk to God if you are God. But ego doesn't know it's God. The animal nature doesn't get that it's God. So it's like, oh, it's like someone flopping around in a pool. And you're like, just use the stairs and come out at the pool. You're like, you don't have to do that. So prayer of faith, meanings like, I know there's a better way. I know I'm not going to stay in this trouble forever. I know I've lost my way. I know there is salvation. So that's not trust, because trust is like, I know there's salvation. I know there's a better way. I know I'm going to get out of this mess. But faith is, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to like say I'm sure. That's that kind of prayer. Like, God, you really exist and you really do save everything and you really make things right. Yeah. So there's a little different, when the woman asks, like, do you love me? And the guy's like, I told you, yes, I said it. Like, why do you keep asking? And it's not that she doesn't trust, she just likes to hear, like that. So it's like similar, right? It's like faith, trust, faith, faith, trust. And sometimes we just want to repeat the trust just to anchor it and make it more and more sure. Because sometimes life happens and we're not sure how we're going to navigate that. So we just do some prayers of faith, like, look, it's all going to work out. Everything's fine. I am in a state of love. So when you're not feeling sure, the I am prayer is very, very powerful. So if you're scared, you say, I am becoming calm. I am in a place of trust. I am. So you move yourself a little bit over to trust and knowing this, then you're moving away from, the dark stuff. You're gonna die. Yeah, you're all dying, but don't worry about that part right now. They're coming to get us. No, probably not. It's okay. And even if they do, they can't take away all the good things. Nelson Mandela, right? So if we're in charge of what goes on inside of us, then we can be smart about what we get exposed to on the outside. Don't go walking around in dark alleys and bad neighborhoods at night. Like, you don't put yourself in those situations and be irresponsible. You do the right thing, say the right thing, be the right way, and you'll have less problems in your life. Okay, prayer of agreement, also known as corporate prayer. I'm like, corporate prayer? Yeah, they need to pray. They're in trouble right now. They have a lot of problems. So doesn't mean corporate of today. All that means is when 2 or more pray. And I've always loved that one, because what that means is somebody's asking for help. And when we are in a state of humility, that is the best place to move away from the ego. Ego is fear and anxiety and story and drama, emotions. But if we can say, listen, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to play that. I'm lost. I'm afraid. I don't know the answer. And I need some help. That is our best human condition. When we are in that place of naming our fear, accepting that it's there, now we've cut it in half because we've taken away all of the charge of it. Now we can say, hey, I'm in a bad place. I need some help. For instance, somebody I know said, listen, I have to get this surgery. And the doctor said, I'm not going to be okay, for several days. I'm asking for help, from 7 of my friends. And all of them before the day was out, like, I'll take from 11 to 3, you know, I've got this one, I got Wednesday, hey, can you do blah, blah, blah. And they were all like on it. And at the end, she said, wow, I'm a person who used to never be able to ask for help. And now my heart is so touched that everybody came forward. We all love to help each other, but for some reason we have trouble asking for help. In this prayer of agreement, we are asking for help. And that's why two or more are praying. And the power of prayer is very, very powerful. My father was in a coma after surgery for 3 days, and we didn't know what was going on. And the nurses were coming and going and coming and going. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't answer questions. We were like, I don't think this is right. Like, this seems kind of intense. And we were standing there. My mom, my sister, and myself were standing there over his bed. And all of a sudden, his eyes popped open. And, you know, he had taken the breathing tube was out. So he could speak, and his eyes popped open. And he said, prayer works. Prayer works. Prayer works. We were like, wow, he's alive. And the first thing he was saying is prayer works. Why? Because inside, in his coma, he was receiving the prayers, and he had experienced that the prayers helped him find his way back out. That's one of millions of examples of how prayer works. When two or more gather and focus on something, it will create an energetic vortex. Two things coming together cause a lot of activity, and that energy field will vibrate and change frequencies. So if there's a fear or a worry and you come in with confidence, it blows that out. So 2 people, 8 people praying together, wow, the energy field is so, so strong. Prayer of request. That's a nice way of saying it. Also known as begging. Please, I'll do anything. Get me out of this mess. I'll be a better person. You see what I mean about responsibility, right? I'll be a better, they know, like, I've got some corrections to make. That's ego over here, just trying to avoid and distract. No. Okay. So when we bargain, I'll be a better person, we should just start being a better person. Exactly right then. Even in that place of lack and limitations and fear and anxiety, we can say, no, I need to be a better person. I need to make better choices. I need to be responsible. I need to ask for forgiveness. I need to make amends. You know, I need to pay my debts. I need to do these things to clean my act up so I can be more in the central space. So when we are in a prayer of request, listen to ourselves to say, what am I asking? What am I, you know, praying with sweat and fever? Let me repair what I can. Let me ask for help, and let me calm myself so I can listen, so I can be open, so I can be receptive for clarity and good answers to come to me, and for a calm state where my anxiety goes down and I can get into a place of empowerment. So that prayer of request, that begging thing, is also showing us like, I got to push myself back into here, and then get humble and ask properly, you know, somebody please come and pray, angels please come and help me. And whatever your belief system is, pray to them with a passion, but with sincerity. When we just read Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, that's not sincere. And that's not really, as you're wasting your chance to have an effective prayer. When we feel the prayer, that's more important than saying the prayer, because feeling is the activity that will give the prayer momentum. Prayer of thanksgiving. You're going to do one prayer. This is it right here. I am grateful for. That's the I am prayer. And whatever we're grateful for, we increase. So if you're trying to lose weight and you lost 1 pound, you're like, oh yeah, I lost 1 pound. I'm so grateful. Then the universe is like, oh, she likes that. Give her more of that. So that's a generating thing, more power, more energy. And when we're grateful, we're opening up our heart, we're creating an attitude and an emotional reaction to something. And that creates a lot of energy. Then that has more power. So if you don't have something, you're in a state of lack, be grateful for the thing that you want to create. In metaphysics and quantum physics, we can jump timelines and we can move from the 3D into like a 5D beyond time. So you can project yourself in 5 years from now. So if your life's a big mess and you're like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get out of this? Don't worry. Things change. We can count on that for sure. So put yourself out in 5 years and really get into that place, feel it, smell it, sense it, understand how you can get there, like find the breadcrumb trails to there, and be there as if you're sitting 5 years from now in your meditation, in your prayer spot, and you're saying, thank you for, financial stability. Thank you for my home that feels safe and secure. Thank you for my family who knows how to communicate and show love and respect to each other. Thank you for a job that I'm gainfully employed and I'm consistent and I'm doing something that is very fulfilling. Thank you for a community of friends and people who support me and I can support them. Thank you for balance and harmony in my life. So even though you're having quite the 3-ring circus, I'm going to get out of here, and you pick a direction and you put yourself there energetically in your prayer state, and then you tie back how to put that, here, and then you're like, look, maybe I should calm down, maybe I should go running, maybe I should do this, maybe, and you start finding ways of how you can get to that place, because you put yourself there through prayer, and now your prayer is saying, okay, here's the path, here's the trail. But when we're in a calm state, we can go, oh, hey, I should call that so-and-so and do that. Those things will drop in rather than the frantic mess over here where you're just creating more chaos. Prayer of worship. So the Baha'i is one of the religions that really capture the prayer of worship. So what, in my opinion, they're doing is they're diminishing the ego so much by praising the holiness and showing reverence to that which is greater, the silence within, that the ego is like, oh, better not say anything. I better, like, there's so much going on in that, I better not, like, don't mess anything up. We're just saying all these beautiful things right now. So the ego just like, feels almost not shameful, but like, oh, let me not, let me not mess up all of that beauty. And it's a very smart tactic. The Baha'i are very sweet people. If you ever meet a Baha'i person, you're like, wow, they're so humble, they're so gentle, they're so thoughtful. And who else is worshiping all the time is the Islamic. So they pray 5 times a day. They do their salat. And I think, how do they get anything done? They're always stopping and praying. And I think, oh, it's a good thing they're always stopping and praying, because we get off track. So you can say this most amazing prayer like, God, you're wonderful, and I love you, and it's your way, not my way. And then 5 minutes later you're yelling at the dog. Okay, so they do 5 times a day, and it's very thoughtful, very intentional, very strict, and they are dedicated to that. And a lot of theirs is them, you. Prayer of consecration, also known as dedication, meaning similar, right, in the worship thing, but basically saying to your ego, look, it's over for you. You're not in charge. Thy will be done. So I'm all my ego stuff, all my attachment, all my drama, all my whatever, we're not having it. I'm going the right way. I'm going the simple way. I'm going the middle way. I'm going the boring way. I just want to be a good person and do the right thing. So that's the consecration. Prayer of intercession. Secession, not sure. That is, hey, my friend's in trouble. Can we pray for him? He's so sick, he can't even, yes, come on, come on. So we get together and we pray on behalf of somebody else, right? We're all praying for the world to have peace, for goodness, please. So we're praying on behalf of, we're not selfishly praying, we're praying for others, we're praying for the state of peace, we're praying all of that stuff. And again, that's beautiful because the ego can't go in and like, hey, what about me? You're like, shh, we're doing something more important than me. Get over there. So this is, see, all of this prayer stuff is taming the ego. This is the prayer not to do. This is the prayer, the next one, prayer of imprecation. I don't care if I'm saying it wrong because it's a bad prayer. This is the prayer. So you say, God, please curse that person. Okay. Yeah, it's not nice. That's not why it's a bad prayer. Why it's a bad prayer, because karmically, guess what? We will pay. So if I say, oh, curse that, and I'm telling you, the internal family systems, the subconscious work that I do with my clients, when we go back in time, and we go back in time, we go back in time. Tit for tat, Old Testament stuff, eye for an eye. Oh, the Hatfields and the McCroys, whoever those families are, right? Oh, we get you, 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 we get you. That's a loop that's not worth, it is a waste of energy, it's a waste of lives. That's why in the New Testament, they say if somebody hits you, give them the other cheek. Like, don't play revenge. Don't play grudge. Grudge is revenge, in that same lane. Just say, you know what? We're all making mistakes. I make mistakes. You made a really big mistakes and you hurt my feelings. I don't trust you right now. And if you can't forgive that person, say, okay, is something greater than me could forgive? Could a better person forgive that person? Okay, then I'm going to ask the energetic fields to forgive that person on my behalf. So while I work on my ego to forgive that person, because that person, when I don't forgive that person, I am not inhibiting the growth and loving kindness of that person. I am inhibiting my growth and loving kindness. My grudge is eating my soul. So I'm working against myself when I don't forgive. So forgiveness, you keep reading all of prayer. Everybody's asking for forgiveness. That's a big thing because it is a self-harming state. So if you're already in a prayer of self-harming state, of not forgiving, which is kind of a prayer, worry is a negative prayer. Grudge holding is a destructive prayer against yourself. You see, so everything you can say, oh, now I get it. So this cursing prayer, if you ask God to curse somebody, only you will get, maybe they will get cursed, and your ha 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 is going to double curse you. So please don't use that prayer. And praying in the spirit, when you just pray, and spirit's praying through you, when you see people channeling, they are, you see them and there's a cadence going on and their head's going on and they're just talking something and it's like beautiful words and it's really heart impacting. You're like, how do they know that? Oh my gosh. And you're talking right to me. And a lot of that is a channeled where spirit's talking right through you. So that's a beautiful prayer. So these are all examples of prayer. And if you go to this guy's website, there's like 600 versions of, not versions, but different prayers within the Bible. You're like, oh, okay, the Bible. So here's an example of the Baha'i prayer. All praise be unto thee, O Lord. We shall seek thy grace on the appointed day and shall put our whole reliance on thee. See, the ego is saying, please don't let me do anything. Don't let me mess up the day. Please lead me. So it's like that whole parent thing, right? But as we get more spiritually mature, we're like, okay, I'm not going to let my ego self take over. I'm going to let my best self lead the way. But in the Baha'i, they kind of even take it outside of us, and they're like, look up there, and that's fine because it's easier because it's more parent. It's more like, oh, don't let me be in charge of anything. And so it's very beautiful, you see, very reverent, very humbling to ask on those levels. Then this one here is the yeah, so this is standard Bible. Again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth about anything that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. For when two or three have gathered together in my name, I am there in their midst. So energetically, again, quantum metaphysics, when you have two components, elements, there's a lot more energy interacting with each other that causes, explosive frequencies. And the more passion, the more agreement, the more commitment. Even when we make an agreement, when you marry somebody, you are making a powerful agreement, and all the people watching are energizing that agreement. And that is a sacred agreement. When you sign a paper with somebody else and you're having an agreement, a legal agreement, there is a connection. You are activating this law, this principle. So they say it in different terms, but it's all the same law. So then you're like, okay, let me look it up in the Bible. Pray without ceasing. That's my favorite prayer. Wait, what? These are all the kinds of Bibles, all the iterations. Look at them. Look. And you're like, which one's the right one? And then I say, well, give me the oldest one. Give me the most authentic one. You start reading it and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what those words are. Like, so then it's references, of course. Everything's references. Language changes over time, and interpretations from one language to another aren't always accurate because one word could mean 4 different things. So you're just guessing. So everybody's guessing. And you can see God did not write the Bible. God inspired the Bible. Mankind wrote the Bible, interpreted the Bible, rewrote the Bible. So anytime you put something in mankind's hands, it's ego gets involved and says, oh, I know what to do. So when we read the Bible, we have to understand, those things are ideas, and we have to get to the essence of those ideas and what is it that I need right now, and ask the Bible, please help me get what I need instead of get confused in the head with all these ideas. So don't get trapped into there. If you ever want to look up things, the Bible Gateway is an excellent website to navigate, especially if you have a favorite Bible that you work with. In my Bible studies, we were doing the NIV Bible, the international version. Okay, so here's one of the interpretations about pray without ceasing. This is the Phillips version. I don't even know what that is. So we ask you too, my brothers, to get to know those who work so hard among you. So the people who are working hard, they're the ones who are dedicated. They are your spiritual leaders to keep you on the right path. Because of this high task of theirs, hold them in highest honor. Live together in peace. And our instruction to the end is to reprimand the unruly. I don't know about all that, right? It's not my job. But see, they say in our instruction. So the way this is interpreted, when God talks to us, often it says our. So there's not one guy. It's like a collective state. So reprimand the unruly, to me, those are consequences. It's not my job to put somebody straight. It's my job to let go of my anger and say, they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay their own consequences. It's my job to set boundaries and say, hey, when I'm around, don't you talk to anybody like that. When I'm around, I expect respect from you. When I'm around, please watch your language, right? So I'm not to reprimand or judge the unruly. I'm here to create a field of peace and harmony where I'm at, and let go of any grudges or criticism, judgment, and understand the law of karma will be working just like it does for everybody. And when we do bad things, we pay the consequences. Encourage the timid. Yes, because those are people like, I don't know what's going on. And we're like, do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Help the weak and be very patient with all men. Be sure that no one repays a bad turn by a bad turn. I was just saying that. Good should be your objective always. What's the good thing? What's the right thing among yourself and in the world at large? Be happy in your faith at all times. You see that happiness, like when Master Choa says, think of a happy event. When we're in a state of happiness, we're in a state of frequency of higher vibration. Our heart chakra's open, we're calmer, we're more in the going towards the theta, we're in a place of awareness, heightened awareness, and we're happy. So we're attracting other happy. We smile, other people smile to us. There's that prayer, that 2 or 1. Today's a good day. Today's a good day. Happy to be alive today. So when we're putting out good, we're going to, of course, draw good towards us. Never stop praying. So that's where this saying came from, pray without ceasing. Be thankful, whatever the circumstances may be. See that gratitude, that prayer of gratitude we went over? Here it is. So if we stay in a state of gratefulness, this other stuff doesn't influence us and bring down our energetic vibration. So gratitude is a upward energetic flow state. If you follow this advice, you will be working out the will of God expressed to you in Jesus Christ. So when people talk about the will of God, I'm like, God doesn't have a will, God has a way. So God's not pushing us. God's just saying, okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal, everybody. Get it right. You have a chance every 5 minutes to get it right. Okay, so then the Lord's Prayer, like, okay, maybe I should just do the Lord's Prayer. In pranic healing, we scan the spiritual cord while somebody is doing the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer is a formula. It's a design. It has a lot in there. I could do a whole program on the Lord's Prayer. So I'm just going to touch upon it here. I know that the Lord's Prayer came because in my education, right, you get exposed to things. Could I find it on the internet? Oh, no. I had to dig for like 10 minutes to find this one little reference. And I got it in that website there. I think it's called Reddit. I don't know. It's not called Reddit, whatever. And here it is. So the Egyptian version, what's that, 500 years, no, 2000. Yeah, 500 years before Christ was born. And Christ didn't write these things down. The Bible, whatever, like who knows anything anymore, right? But basically the teaching is, when you dig into the facts of the matter, the Bible really wasn't written until about 400 years after Jesus was a person on the planet. That's what they teach. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to argue it. I'm just telling you what I've been taught. Okay, so in Egypt, they got all these Dead Sea Scrolls, and that's not even the right name for them. And there it is. So let's look at number 3. I have given bread to the hungry man and water to the thirsty man. and clothes to the naked man, and a boat to the boatless. I'm sure that that's a misinterpretation, but whatever. I have made holy offerings to the gods and meals for the dead. Again, deliver me, protect me, accuse me not in the presence of Osiris. And I don't know who that Osiris. I don't know. Don't ask me. I am pure of mouth and pure of hand. And then it says there's 20 more lines there. And then the Christian version is, oh, give us this day our daily bread. So I was like, wait a minute. When I'm reading this prayer, I said, yes. Number 3, the Egyptian version says, do the right thing. So the people are saying, I've done this, I'm doing the right thing. So when I do the right thing, I would like the consequences of the right things to happen to me. Yes, that's karma. That's in all the religions. So it's really simple. When you want to pray without ceasing, what does that look like? Doing the right thing. Making the right choices consistently throughout the day is pray without ceasing. Continue to pray. It is in our actions, in our words, in our choices, in our attitude, in our gratitude, and in our upward frequency that we are in that state of prayer all day long. And it's correction, course correction. Ego's like, then you're like, will you stop? Please? I love you. We're going this way. So these good deeds, he's saying, the prayer is saying, I'm doing the good things. I'm giving boats to the boatless. And then it goes on, right? And then number 5, let no evil come to me from you. Of course, God's not going to like, here's a little test for you. No, because if we get distracted and go down the hill and we're just like, ooh, we're hanging out with the wrong people, thinking the wrong thoughts, we're going to pay the wrong consequences. More evilness, more darkness, more garbage, more stuff will just keep piling onto our life because that's the direction we're headed. That's the references that we're in. So we just got to keep out of that. It's all about the direction. So we're saying, the ego is saying, help me, don't go down the hill over there. Okay, so here's the Book of the Dead. And you see this. Wait. So the Book of the Dead, the original Egyptian name for the text, is translated as Book of Coming Forth by Day. Book of Emerging Forth into the Light. So there's this whole context about, God is in the light of the day, and if we stay in the light, darkness can't get to us. And, we're trying to run away from darkness. And then when you look metaphysically, darkness is the absence of light, because light is consistent. Our example is the sun. The sun is always there, even though the world turns and we're in the nighttime and we think the sun went away. Nope, it didn't go away. There it is. So that's very much how God is. So even when we're cycling through our evolutionary process and we forget that we are created by God, our heart is beating because of God, and God, whatever you want to interpret it is the truth and the light and the way. Because when we die, we want to be in a place of love and happiness and go back into that state of purity. So here, even in this book of Coming Forth by Day, written 500 years before the timeline, whatever, this little depiction here is somebody's weighing their heart against the feather of truth. So down there, that snaky looking thing is actually a feather. And somehow, whatever, I don't know the story, but they're saying the feather of truth, may my heart be so pure that the feather of truth, it will balance it out, which is a beautiful prayer. Okay. The Purpose-Driven Life is an excellent book. This Rick Warren is a preacher here, and he breaks down, you read through all the chapters and gives us lots of tools. And then at the end of the book, he helps us make a statement, our purpose statement, like, why do you exist? Why are you here? What gifts do you have? And in that statement of I am is a prayer. So we remind our ego who gets off a track, hey, this is why I'm here. This is what's mine to do. This is what I represent. This is what I will voice. This is what I will not tolerate. So if you're curious, I recommend reading this book. Here's another prayer. You can make up your own prayers. So this is one of my teachers. I am the soul. I am love. I am peace. I am will. I am truth. I am joy. I am the mystery. I am magic. And you can check out all of her work. She's on the Quantum Whisperer. That's her YouTube station. So all of this to say, you can make up your own prayers. Prayer is in our sincerity when we're reading through them, when we're knowing them. Prayer is in our awareness and our frequency of being in the right place on a daily basis, course correcting, correct. The I am prayer will move us from unsure to more clarity, and gratitude will spark that energetic field that we really need to create something strong and keep it there, raising our vibration. When we ask for help, we are in humility and we really move into a place of empowerment. When two or more gather, we're creating a combustion, we're compounding that prayer and that energetic frequency and putting it out into the universe to dispel what's opposing those ideas. So if you have more questions or any of that, please comment. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found it fulfilling. Thank you.